No creature on Earth truly lives alone. Every breath you take, every bite of food you digest, every step you walk is made possible by partnerships so ancient and so intertwined that the line between one organism and another has long since blurred into something inseparable. You are not a single being. You are a living alliance. Tonight, we explore the hidden world of symbiotic life, the countless relationships between species that shape every corner of the natural world. From the bacteria in your gut to the fungi woven through forest roots, from the algae inside coral to the mites that call your eyelashes home, life is a web of connections far more intimate than it first appears. Welcome to Drowsy Discovery. Over the next 2 hours, over 100 gentle facts will carry you through the world of symbiosis, drifting softly from one partnership to the next. There is nothing to memorize, nothing to remember. Just listen and let your mind drift. Have you ever paused to consider how many invisible creatures are helping you exist at this very moment? You are not alone. If these quiet explorations bring you comfort, consider subscribing or sharing this space with a friend who might need it. It helps others find their way here, one restful night at a time. Now let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop. Feel your body grow heavier against the surface beneath you and allow the outside world to fade a little further away. Here, in this moment, you are safe. The partnerships of life will carry you gently through the night. Let us begin. Symbiosis means living together, a bond between different species that shapes how both survive. The word itself comes from the Greek for shared life, and it describes any close, long-term interaction between two or more species that live in intimate contact with one another. These relationships can take many forms, from partnerships that benefit both parties to arrangements where one thrives at the expense of the other. But what they all have in common is that the lives of the participants have become intertwined, often so deeply that neither could exist in quite the same way alone. Symbiosis is not rare or unusual. It is one of the most fundamental forces shaping life on this planet, quietly present in nearly every ecosystem you could name, from the depths of the ocean to the interior of your own body. Connection is the rule, not the exception. There are 3 main types of symbiosis: mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. These 3 categories describe the balance of benefit and cost between the partners involved in any given relationship. In mutualism, both species gain something from the arrangement, whether food, protection, or some other advantage that neither could easily obtain alone. In commensalism, one species benefits while the other is neither helped nor harmed, like a small fish sheltering in the shadow of a whale. In parasitism, one organism profits while the other suffers, as when a tapeworm draws nutrients from its host's intestines. Of course, nature rarely draws clean lines, and many relationships shift between these categories depending on circumstances. But these 3 types offer a useful way to begin understanding the vast spectrum of partnerships that hold the living world together. Mutualism is a partnership where both species benefit from the relationship. Think of bees and flowers, each giving something the other needs. The bee collects nectar and pollen for food, and in doing so it carries pollen from bloom to bloom, allowing the plant to reproduce. Neither species set out to help the other, yet over countless generations, their lives became so intertwined that both now depend on the arrangement. Mutualistic relationships are found everywhere in nature, from the bacteria that help termites digest wood to the birds that pick parasites off the backs of rhinoceroses, and they remind us that cooperation is not a human invention, but a strategy as old as life itself. When conditions are right, helping another can be the surest path to helping yourself. Commensalism benefits one partner while leaving the other unaffected. Picture a small bird building its nest in the branches of a great oak tree. The bird gains shelter and safety, while the tree neither loses nor gains from the arrangement. Commensal relationships are common throughout the natural world, from barnacles hitching rides on the shells of whales to seeds that cling to the fur of passing mammals. The benefiting species often takes advantage of resources or opportunities created by the other without asking for permission or causing harm, like a guest who leaves no trace. Whether true neutrality exists in nature is debated by scientists, since even tiny effects can accumulate over time, but commensalism remains a useful way to describe the many quiet hitchhikers and opportunists that share our world. Parasitism benefits one organism at the expense of the other. The parasite takes what it needs: food, shelter, a place to reproduce, while its host pays the cost in energy, health, or sometimes its very life. Parasites are astonishingly diverse, ranging from microscopic viruses and bacteria to worms that can grow meters long inside a host's intestines, and they have evolved to exploit nearly every species on Earth, including other parasites. Some are subtle, siphoning just enough to survive without killing their host too quickly, while others are more destructive, consuming their host from within until nothing remains. Though parasitism may seem cruel, it is simply another strategy for survival, one that has shaped the evolution of immune systems, behaviors, and even the structure of entire ecosystems. Life finds a way, even when that way is at another's expense. Some symbiotic relationships are so ancient that neither partner can survive alone. Over millions of years, certain partnerships have become so deeply embedded that the organisms involved have lost the ability to function independently, their fates bound together by evolution itself. Lichens, for example, are composed of fungi and algae or cyanobacteria that can no longer live apart in the wild, their biology having merged into something neither could achieve alone. Even more striking are the mitochondria inside your own cells, once free-living bacteria that were absorbed by a larger cell billions of years ago and have never left. These ancient alliances remind us that independence is not always the path to success. Sometimes the deepest strength comes from a bond so old that neither partner remembers what it was like to be alone. The human body contains more bacterial cells than human cells. For most of history, we imagined ourselves as single, self-contained beings, but modern science has revealed a more humbling truth. You are outnumbered by the bacteria living on and inside you, guests you never invited but who have always been there. The exact ratio is still debated, but estimates suggest that for every human cell in your body, there is at least one bacterial cell, and by some counts, many more than that, making you a minority in your own body. These microbes colonize your skin, your mouth, your lungs, and especially your gut, forming communities so complex that they are sometimes called a hidden organ that operates beyond your awareness or control. You are not simply a human being, but a walking ecosystem, a host to trillions of tiny passengers whose lives are woven into your own. You have never been alone. And within you, a hidden world of microbes is working to keep you alive. Your gut microbiome weighs as much as your brain and contains trillions of organisms. If you could gather all the bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microbes living in your digestive tract and place them on a scale, they would weigh somewhere between 1 and 2 kilograms, roughly the same as the organ you use to think. This community is astonishingly diverse, containing hundreds of different species that vary enormously from person to person, depending on diet, genetics, environment, and the circumstances of birth. Together, these organisms form a living ecosystem inside you, one that helps digest food, produces essential molecules, trains your immune system, and even communicates with your brain through chemical signals. The gut microbiome is so influential that some scientists now consider it a forgotten organ, quietly performing vital tasks your body could not accomplish on its own. You carry a universe within, and it has been shaping your life since the moment you were born. Gut bacteria help digest food that your own body cannot break down. The human digestive system is impressive, capable of breaking down proteins, fats, and simple carbohydrates with remarkable efficiency, but it has its limits. Certain fibers, resistant starches, and complex carbohydrates pass through your stomach and small intestine untouched because you lack the enzymes needed to break them apart. This is where your gut bacteria step in, fermenting these substances in your large intestine and extracting nutrients and energy that would otherwise be completely lost. In return, you provide them with a warm, stable environment and a steady supply of the food they need to survive. The arrangement is ancient and essential, shaped over countless generations of shared evolution and mutual adaptation. Without these microbial partners, your diet would be far less efficient, and the energy and nutrients locked inside plant fibers would simply pass through you unused and wasted. They finish what your body cannot. The microbiome produces vitamins that your cells cannot manufacture on their own. Your body requires certain vitamins to function properly, from maintaining your blood's ability to clot to keeping your nervous system healthy, but not all of them can be made by your own cells. Some must come from the outside, and a significant portion of those are actually produced by the bacteria living inside your gut. Vitamin K, essential for blood clotting and bone health, and several B vitamins including biotin and folate are synthesized by gut microbes and absorbed directly into your bloodstream, quietly supporting processes you never have to think about or consciously manage. This arrangement is a remnant of a long partnership, a division of labor between species that has proven so reliable over millions of years that your body no longer bothers to make these essential molecules itself. You depend on your microbes not just for digestion, but for the very vitamins that keep you alive, healthy, and functioning day after day. Gut bacteria communicate with your brain through the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a long, wandering pathway that connects your brain to your digestive system, carrying signals in both directions like a biological telephone line that never stops transmitting, even when you sleep. Your gut bacteria can influence these signals, releasing molecules that affect the nerve's activity, and through it, the workings of your mind in ways scientists are still working to fully understand. This gut-brain axis, as scientists call it, means that the state of your intestines can shape your emotions, your stress levels, and even your thoughts in profound and sometimes unpredictable ways. You may have felt this connection yourself, the butterflies in your stomach before a stressful event, the way anxiety can upset your digestion and leave you feeling unsettled. Your microbes are not just passengers, they are whispering to your brain in a language you are only beginning to understand. Your mood, your cravings, and even your sleep may be influenced by the microbes inside you. Research has begun to reveal surprising links between the bacteria in your gut and the way you feel and behave, a connection that scientists are only beginning to fully understand, and that may reshape how we think about the mind. Certain microbes produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, chemicals that regulate mood, motivation, and pleasure, and these molecules can influence your brain's activity in ways both subtle and profound. Some studies suggest that the composition of your microbiome may affect how anxious or calm you feel, how well you sleep at night, and even what foods you find yourself wanting to eat. The picture is still emerging, but it is becoming clear that your mental state is not shaped by your brain alone. The tiny organisms living in your belly have a say as well. You are, in part, what they make of you. A baby's first microbiome comes from its mother during birth. In the womb, a developing child is largely free of bacteria, cushioned in a sterile environment where microbes cannot easily reach. But the moment of birth changes everything forever. As the baby passes through the birth canal, it is coated in the mother's microbes, swallowing and inhaling communities of bacteria that will become the foundation of its own microbiome and shape its health for years to come. Babies born by cesarean section receive a different set of microbes, often those from the surrounding skin and hospital environment rather than the birth canal, and research suggests this difference may have lasting effects on immune development and disease risk. The microbiome you carry today, influencing your digestion, your immunity, and perhaps even your mood, began in those first moments of life, a gift passed from one generation to the next in the most intimate way possible. You are seeded with life from your very first breath, and that inheritance stays with you always. Breast milk contains sugars that feed beneficial bacteria in the infant gut. Human breast milk is remarkably complex, containing not only the proteins, fats, and nutrients the baby needs to grow, but also special sugars called human milk oligosaccharides that the infant itself cannot digest at all. These sugars are food not for the child, but specifically for the beneficial bacteria colonizing its gut, helping these helpful microbes to outcompete harmful species and establish a healthy, stable community that will protect the child for life. The mother's body, in other words, is actively cultivating the microbiome of her offspring, nourishing not just one life, but the trillions of tiny lives within it that will one day help to keep her child healthy. This is symbiosis at its most intimate, a partnership that begins even before the child can eat solid food, shaping its immunity, digestion, and perhaps even brain development for years to come. The milk carries more than nutrition. It carries a microbial legacy that links generations. Antibiotics can disrupt the delicate balance of your gut ecosystem for months. Antibiotics are designed to kill bacteria, and while they are often life-saving when used to treat serious infections, they do not distinguish between harmful invaders and the helpful communities living inside you. A single course of antibiotics can wipe out large portions of your gut microbiome, dramatically reducing its diversity and allowing opportunistic species, including potentially harmful ones, to take hold in the newly opened space. Recovery can take weeks, months, or in some cases, the original balance of species may never fully return, leaving a permanent shift in the ecosystem you carry within you. This is not to say antibiotics should be avoided when needed, as they have saved countless lives, but it is a reminder that your microbiome is a living system, one that can be fragile in the face of powerful medicines. Every medical intervention has consequences, even when necessary and beneficial. And as you rest with these thoughts, there is no need to hold onto any of them. Let them pass through you like the slow drift of nutrients through a living system. Take a breath if you wish, and let your body settle a little deeper. Mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, were once free-living bacteria. Billions of years ago, before complex life existed on Earth, a larger cell engulfed a smaller bacterium, and instead of digesting it as food, the two began to live together in an arrangement that would transform the history of life. The smaller organism was very good at converting oxygen into usable energy, a skill the larger cell lacked, and over time, it became a permanent resident inside its host, losing the ability to survive on its own in the outside world. Today, we call these structures mitochondria, and they are present in nearly every cell of your body, from your muscles to your brain, quietly generating the energy you need to move, to think, to dream, to live. Every breath you take is processed by descendants of those ancient bacteria, still working inside you after more than 1 billion years. You are powered by a partnership older than any animal, plant, or fungus that has ever existed. Billions of years ago, a larger cell engulfed a smaller bacterium, and neither ever left. This event, known as endosymbiosis, is one of the most important moments in the history of life on Earth, a chance encounter that changed everything that would come after. The larger cell gained a reliable source of energy, and the smaller bacterium gained protection and a steady supply of nutrients, a bargain that would last for eternity. Neither could have predicted what would come next, the emergence of complex, multicellular life, including eventually you. Scientists believe this merger happened only once, and every plant, animal, fungus, and protist alive today descends from that single ancient partnership formed in the primordial seas. It is a reminder that the most transformative events in evolution are not always about competition, but sometimes about two strangers finding a way to live together. From that union, everything followed. Mitochondria still carry their own DNA, a remnant of their ancient independence. Unlike most of the genetic material in your body, which is stored in the nucleus of each cell under the watchful regulation of complex machinery, mitochondria have their own small loops of DNA, separate and distinct from the chromosomes you inherited from both your parents. This DNA is a holdover from the days when mitochondria were free-living bacteria, evidence of a past identity that has never been fully erased despite billions of years of integration. Mitochondrial DNA is inherited only from your mother, passed down through the egg cell from one generation to the next, and it can be used to trace maternal lineages back through thousands of generations. Every time a new cell is made, the mitochondria within it copy their own genetic code, a tiny act of self-preservation inside the larger machinery of your body. They remember what they once were. The oxygen you breathe is converted into energy by descendants of those ancient bacteria. When you inhale, oxygen travels through your lungs and into your bloodstream, eventually reaching every cell in your body, from the neurons firing in your brain to the muscles contracting in your heart. Inside those cells, the mitochondria take that oxygen and use it in a process called cellular respiration, breaking down nutrients like glucose to produce a molecule called ATP, the universal currency of energy that powers nearly everything you do. Without this process, you could not think, move, or stay warm. You could not digest food, fight infection, or dream. The mitochondria performing this work are direct descendants of bacteria that mastered oxygen chemistry long before complex life existed, and their ancient expertise is now the foundation of your every waking moment. You breathe because they learned to, and you live because they never stopped. Chloroplasts in plant cells were also once independent cyanobacteria. Just as mitochondria were once free-living bacteria, so too were the chloroplasts that give plants their green color and their ability to photosynthesize, capturing sunlight and transforming it into the chemical energy that drives nearly all life on Earth. Long ago, a cell engulfed a photosynthetic cyanobacterium, and the two became one, the smaller organism trading its freedom for a stable home within the larger cell's protective walls. Today, chloroplasts convert sunlight into sugars, feeding the plant, and indirectly, nearly every other living thing on Earth through the food chains that connect us all. Like mitochondria, chloroplasts retain their own DNA, a sign of their independent past. The food you eat, the air you breathe, the shade of a forest, all of it traces back to this ancient partnership between a cell and a sun-eating microbe. Light became life because two beings learned to share. From the origins of complex life itself, symbiosis has shaped every living thing. Lichens are not individual organisms, but partnerships between fungi and algae or cyanobacteria. What appears to be a single living thing clinging to a rock or tree trunk is actually two or sometimes three organisms living as one, their boundaries dissolved into something neither could achieve independently. The fungal partner provides structure, protection, and the ability to absorb water and minerals from the environment, while the algae or cyanobacteria trapped within its tissues photosynthesize, producing sugars that feed them both throughout the seasons. Neither could survive in the same way alone. The algae would dry out, and the fungus would starve in utter desolation. Together, they form something neither could be on its own, a composite organism that has colonized nearly every land surface on Earth. Lichens are living proof that identity can be shared. Lichens can survive in the harshest environments on Earth, from Arctic tundra to desert rocks. Where most plants would wither and most animals would perish, lichens persist with remarkable tenacity. They cling to bare rock faces at high altitudes, endure the freezing winds of polar regions, and survive in deserts where rain may not fall for years or even decades. Their secret lies in their partnership. The fungal structure can shut down almost entirely during dry periods, entering a state of suspended animation and reviving only when moisture returns, while the photosynthetic partner produces food whenever conditions allow. This ability to tolerate extremes has allowed lichens to colonize environments that seem utterly hostile to life, from Antarctic valleys to volcanic rock and the sides of gravestones centuries old. They thrive where nothing else dares to try, pioneers of the impossible. Some lichens are among the oldest living things on the planet. Because lichens grow so slowly, often adding just a fraction of a millimeter each year, individual colonies can persist for astonishing lengths of time, outliving trees, animals, and even the rise and fall of human empires. Some lichens growing on rocks in the Arctic and high mountains are estimated to be several thousand years old, quietly expanding across the stone, while human civilizations rose and fell, oblivious to the changes happening around them. Their slow pace is both a survival strategy and a record of time, with the size of a lichen sometimes used to estimate the age of the surface it grows upon with surprising accuracy. In a world obsessed with speed and change, lichens offer a different perspective, the power of patience and endurance over millennia. They measure time in increments too small for us to notice. Lichens produce chemicals found nowhere else in nature. The unique partnership at the heart of each lichen gives rise to a remarkable and distinctive chemistry that emerges only from their collaboration. Lichens synthesize hundreds of compounds that neither the fungus nor the algae could make alone. Substances used to protect against ultraviolet radiation, deter grazing animals, prevent bacterial and fungal infections, and inhibit competing organisms that might try to take over their hard-won territory. Some of these lichen acids have been studied for potential uses in medicine, including as antibiotics and antitumor agents that could one day save human lives. The vivid oranges, yellows, and greens of many lichens come from these unique pigments, giving rocky landscapes unexpected splashes of color that brighten even the bleakest terrain. In their quiet, slow way, lichens are chemical factories, inventing molecules that exist nowhere else in the living world. Lichens are so sensitive to air quality that scientists use them as pollution indicators. Because lichens absorb water and nutrients directly from the air, lacking roots or any other means of filtering what they take in, they are highly vulnerable to airborne pollutants. Sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, heavy metals, and other contaminants can poison lichens long before the effects are visible to human observers, causing them to sicken, lose color, or disappear entirely. Because of this sensitivity, the presence or absence of certain lichen species has become a reliable sign of air quality used by researchers around the world. In cities and industrial areas, lichens often disappear, while in clean rural regions and protected wilderness, they flourish in great diversity. By mapping which lichens grow where, scientists can track pollution patterns across landscapes without expensive monitoring equipment. Lichens are silent witnesses, recording the quality of the air we all breathe in their very presence or absence. Coral reefs are built by animals that house photosynthetic algae inside their bodies. Corals may look like plants or rocks, but they are actually colonies of tiny animals called polyps, each one housing microscopic algae called zooxanthellae within its tissues, sometimes millions of algal cells packed into every square centimeter of coral flesh. These algae photosynthesize, converting sunlight into sugars that nourish the coral, while the coral provides the algae with a protected home and access to the nutrients they need. This partnership is the foundation of entire reef ecosystems, allowing corals to grow and build the limestone structures that shelter countless other species, from parrotfish scraping the surface to moray eels lurking in crevices. Without their algal partners, corals could not thrive in the nutrient-poor waters where reefs are found. Together, animal and plant create cathedrals beneath the sea, monuments to a partnership older than any human civilization. The algae inside coral provide up to 90% of the coral's energy through photosynthesis. The relationship between coral and zooxanthellae is so intimate that the coral depends almost entirely on its microscopic partners for food. During the day, the algae absorb sunlight filtering through the water and convert it into sugars, passing most of the energy directly to the coral host, a transfer so efficient that scientists have compared it to a biological solar panel. In return, the coral supplies the algae with carbon dioxide and other compounds released as waste, a recycling system that wastes nothing. This efficient exchange allows corals to grow and reproduce in waters where food is otherwise scarce, building the vast reef structures that support so much marine life and stretching across thousands of kilometers in some parts of the world. The coral is fed by light it cannot capture on its own. When corals are stressed, they expel their algae and turn white. This is coral bleaching. If the water becomes too warm, too acidic, or otherwise hostile, corals may eject their zooxanthellae, losing the color and the vital energy source the algae provide. What remains is the pale, ghostly skeleton of the coral, a sign that the partnership has broken down under pressure. Bleached corals are not immediately dead, but they are weakened and starving, deprived of the nutrients that sustain them. If conditions do not improve quickly, within a few weeks at most, they will die. Mass bleaching events, often triggered by rising ocean temperatures linked to climate change, can devastate entire reef systems, turning vibrant underwater cities teeming with life into silent, colorless graveyards. Scientists have documented bleaching events affecting thousands of kilometers of reef, and each one leaves the marine ecosystem poorer. The bond that built the reef can also be its undoing. Coral reefs support roughly a quarter of all marine species despite covering less than 1% of the ocean floor. The sheer diversity of life found on coral reefs is staggering, rivaling even tropical rainforests in the number of species they harbor and sheltering creatures found nowhere else on Earth. From the tiniest invertebrates to magnificent sharks, fish, mollusks, crustaceans, sponges, sea stars, and countless other creatures find food, shelter, and breeding grounds among the reef's intricate structures and branching corals, each species playing its part in the greater whole. This abundance is made possible by the coral-algae partnership, which transforms sunlight and seawater into the foundation of an entire ecosystem that supports millions of lives. Losing coral reefs would mean losing one of the most biodiverse habitats on the planet, a tragedy not just for marine life, but for the millions of people who depend on reefs for food and livelihoods. So much depends on so little space. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on Earth, visible from space. Stretching for over 2,300 kilometers along the northeastern coast of Australia, the Great Barrier Reef is so vast that it can be seen from orbit by astronauts circling our planet, a ribbon of turquoise and green against the deep blue sea. It is composed of nearly 3,000 individual reef systems and more than 900 islands, all built by the accumulated skeletons of countless coral polyps over thousands of years of continuous growth that never pauses. This immense structure is home to an extraordinary diversity of life, from tiny shrimp to massive whales, all sustained by the symbiotic partnership between coral and algae that makes everything possible. The reef is a monument to what cooperation can build when given enough time. Stone upon stone, life upon life, a world made by partnership. Beneath the forest floor, an even larger partnership is quietly at work. Mycorrhizal fungi form vast networks connecting the roots of nearly all land plants. Beneath your feet, hidden from view, a web of fungal threads called hyphae spreads through the soil in every direction, linking the roots of trees, shrubs, grasses, and wildflowers into a single interconnected system that spans entire landscapes. These mycorrhizal fungi form intimate partnerships with plant roots, exchanging nutrients and information across distances that roots alone could never reach, no matter how far they stretched. The network is so extensive and so densely woven that a single footstep on forest soil may pass over millions of these delicate threads without your ever knowing. Without this underground alliance, forests, as we know them, could not exist, and the plants that dominate the land would struggle to find the nutrients they need. Beneath every forest, there is a hidden internet of life. These fungal threads can extend for kilometers beneath a single forest. The hyphae of mycorrhizal fungi are incredibly fine, often thinner than a human hair, but what they lack in thickness, they make up for in reach and extraordinary persistence. A single fungal network may spread across an entire hillside, connecting hundreds of trees and thousands of smaller plants in a web of shared resources that stretches for remarkable distances. One famous example, a honey fungus in Oregon, is thought to be among the largest organisms on Earth, its threads spreading across nearly 10 square kilometers of forest floor. This vast reach allows the fungus to transport water and nutrients from areas of abundance to areas of need, smoothing out the inequalities of the forest floor. The network never sleeps. Plants trade sugars with fungi in exchange for water and minerals the roots cannot reach. The partnership between plants and mycorrhizal fungi is built on a simple exchange. The plant provides sugars made through photosynthesis, and the fungus provides water and nutrients, particularly phosphorus and nitrogen, extracted from the soil in quantities far beyond the plant's own reach. Plant roots are relatively thick and can only absorb what is immediately nearby, but fungal hyphae are far finer and can penetrate tiny pores in the soil that roots could never enter on their own. This trade benefits both partners. The fungus gains a reliable source of food, and the plant gains access to resources that would otherwise be locked away forever. It is a marketplace beneath the ground, where every transaction strengthens the whole. Trees use fungal networks to send chemical signals warning nearby trees of pest attacks. When a tree is attacked by insects or disease, it often responds by producing defensive chemicals to protect itself. But recent research has shown that it may also send warning signals through the fungal network to neighboring trees, alerting them to the danger before it spreads. These chemical messages travel along the hyphae, reaching connected plants within hours and prompting them to prepare their own defenses before the threat arrives at their branches. The result is a kind of early warning system, allowing the forest to respond collectively to danger rather than facing each threat in isolation. Trees that seem isolated above ground may be in constant communication below, sharing not just nutrients but critical information about the threats they face. The forest whispers warnings through the soil, and those who listen survive. Mother trees share nutrients with their seedlings through underground fungal connections. In a forest, the largest and oldest trees, sometimes called mother trees by researchers who have studied them for decades, serve as hubs in the mycorrhizal network, connected to dozens or even hundreds of other plants through invisible threads beneath the soil. Research has shown that these mature trees can recognize their own offspring and preferentially send nutrients to them through the fungal web, giving their seedlings a better chance of survival in the competitive understory where light is scarce and resources are fiercely contested. This flow of resources from old to young is a form of parental care rarely seen outside the animal kingdom, a reminder that nurturing behavior is not unique to creatures with brains or hearts. The roots of family run deeper than we imagined. Scientists call this network the Wood Wide Web. The name is playful, but the comparison is remarkably apt. Just as the internet connects computers around the world, allowing them to share data and communicate, the mycorrhizal network connects plants across a forest, allowing them to share resources and information in ways we are only beginning to understand. The Wood Wide Web is a living infrastructure, built not by engineers, but by evolution, fine-tuned over hundreds of millions of years of partnership between fungi and plants, each generation refining what the last began. Scientists are only beginning to understand how this network functions, how signals are sent and received, and how the system responds to disruption when trees are cut or fungal connections are severed. What is already clear is that forests are not collections of isolated trees, but communities bound together by invisible threads beneath the soil. No tree is an island, and no forest stands alone. Some plants have lost the ability to photosynthesize and steal nutrients from this fungal network. Most plants earn their place in the mycorrhizal exchange by producing sugars through photosynthesis, contributing their fair share to the underground economy, but a few have found another way to survive. These plants, sometimes called mycoheterotrophs, have abandoned photosynthesis entirely, their leaves reduced or absent, their tissues pale and ghostly white like something from a fever dream. Instead of contributing to the network, they tap into it and take without giving, drawing sugars from the fungi that are themselves supplied by neighboring trees that do the hard work of capturing sunlight. It is a form of cheating, a parasitism that exploits the generosity of the system and the labor of others. Yet these plants survive and even thrive, a reminder that nature is not always fair, and that every network has its freeloaders and opportunists. Orchids depend on specific fungi to germinate and cannot grow without them. Orchid seeds are among the smallest in the plant kingdom, little more than a dusting of cells with no stored food, so light that a single seed pod may contain hundreds of thousands of them, each one a tiny lottery ticket waiting for the right conditions. For an orchid to germinate and grow, it must be infected by a particular species of fungus, which supplies the nutrients the tiny seed cannot provide for itself, wrapping its threads around the embryo like a nurse around a patient. Without the right fungal partner, the seed will simply rot away, and even with the fungus, success is far from guaranteed. This extreme dependence has made orchids both fascinating and frustrating to cultivate, as gardeners must recreate a partnership millions of years in the making. The orchid cannot begin its life alone. Truffles are the fruiting bodies of mycorrhizal fungi that live with tree roots. Truffles, those prized delicacies sought by chefs and pigs alike, commanding prices that can exceed gold by weight, are not roots or nuts, but the reproductive structures of underground fungi that form partnerships with the roots of certain trees, particularly oaks and hazels. The fungus spends most of its life as an invisible network of threads in the soil, exchanging nutrients with its host in a quiet, unnoticed partnership. But when conditions are right, it produces a truffle, a dense, fragrant mass designed to attract animals that will dig it up and spread its spores far and wide. The aroma of a truffle is a chemical invitation, a scent so alluring and complex that it has driven humans to train dogs and pigs to find them hidden beneath the forest floor. The treasure is buried by partnership, and partnership alone reveals it. 90% of land plants form some kind of symbiotic relationship with fungi. The partnership between plants and fungi is not an exception but the rule, with the vast majority of plant species depending on fungal allies for their survival and healthy growth. Only a small minority of plants have evolved ways to thrive without these relationships, developing alternative strategies for nutrient acquisition. And even then, many still benefit from fungal connections when they are available. This near-universal dependence reflects the deep history of the alliance, which stretches back hundreds of millions of years to the very first plants that colonized the land, crawling out of the water onto barren rock with fungal partners already attached to their primitive roots. Fungi were there from the beginning, helping plants conquer a hostile world, and they remain essential partners to this day. The green world is built on fungal foundations, and without them, it would crumble. You have been resting here for a while now, and that is a good thing. There is nowhere else to be. Let each breath come a little more slowly than the last, and feel whatever stillness is gathering around you. You are doing beautifully. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen into forms that plants can use. Nitrogen is essential for life, a key building block of proteins and DNA, yet despite making up nearly 80% of the atmosphere, most living things cannot use it directly at all, no matter how desperately they need it. The nitrogen gas in the air is locked in a form so stable that only certain bacteria have evolved the ability to break it apart and convert it into ammonia and other compounds that plants can absorb through their roots and use to build their bodies. This process, called nitrogen fixation, is one of the most important chemical transformations on Earth, quietly supplying the nutrient that limits growth in most ecosystems around the world, from forests to oceans. Without these bacteria, the web of life would starve. They unlock what the rest of us cannot. Legumes like beans and clover host these bacteria in special root nodules. If you dig up a bean plant and look closely at its roots, you may notice small, round swellings called nodules, pinkish and firm to the touch, each one a tiny chemical factory humming with invisible activity. Inside these nodules live colonies of nitrogen-fixing bacteria, sheltered from the soil and supplied with sugars by the plant, tucked away like workers in a well-provisioned bunker. In return, the bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen into a form the plant can use, essentially fertilizing it from within, a trick that no plant can perform on its own despite nitrogen making up most of the atmosphere. This partnership is so effective that legumes can thrive in soils too poor for most other crops, enriching the earth as they grow. The nodule is a factory built by two partners for their mutual benefit. Together, they turn thin air into food. This partnership allows legumes to grow in poor soils where other plants would starve. Because legumes carry their own nitrogen supply, they are not limited by the nutrient-poor conditions that hold back other plants and can pioneer landscapes where other seedlings would starve within weeks. Clover can colonize bare ground, beans can flourish in exhausted fields, and peas can grow where little else will, turning wastelands into gardens with nothing but air and light. This ability has made legumes some of the most important plants in human history, providing protein-rich food in regions where other crops would fail, from the lentils of ancient Mesopotamia to the soybeans of modern agriculture. The partnership with nitrogen-fixing bacteria gives legumes an edge, a built-in advantage that has allowed them to spread across the world and into nearly every cuisine. They grow where others cannot, thanks to the tenants in their roots. Farmers have used legumes to restore soil fertility for thousands of years. Long before anyone understood the science behind it, farmers across the ancient world noticed that growing beans or clover in a field left the soil richer and more productive than before. Ancient agricultural systems around the world incorporated legumes into crop rotations as a matter of practical wisdom, planting them after harvests to replenish the nutrients that other crops had taken from the earth. When the legumes were plowed back into the soil at the end of the season, the nitrogen fixed in their tissues became available to the next crop, reducing the need for manure, fallow periods, or other costly interventions. This practice continues today on farms around the world, a partnership between human knowledge and bacterial chemistry that has sustained civilizations for millennia without anyone knowing the microscopic reason why. The wisdom was old before the reason was known. Without nitrogen-fixing bacteria, modern agriculture would require far more synthetic fertilizer. The production of synthetic nitrogen fertilizer is energy-intensive, relying on fossil fuels to force atmospheric nitrogen into reactive forms through industrial processes that consume vast amounts of energy and release greenhouse gases. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria do the same work for free, using only the sugars supplied by their plant partners and the natural chemistry of their cells. By planting legumes and other crops that host these bacteria, farmers can significantly reduce their dependence on chemical inputs, lowering costs, lessening the environmental impact of food production, and helping to restore depleted soils. In a world increasingly concerned about sustainability, climate change, and the long-term health of agricultural land, the ancient partnership between plants and bacteria offers a way forward that requires no factories and no fossil fuels. The microbes have been solving this problem since long before we knew it existed. And in the animal kingdom, partnerships of survival take on astonishing forms. Cleaner fish remove parasites from larger fish, who hold still and open their mouths willingly. In the waters of tropical reefs, small fish called cleaner wrasses and cleaner gobies make a living by picking parasites, dead skin, and mucus from the bodies of much larger fish, performing a service that their clients cannot provide for themselves. The larger fish, which could easily eat the cleaners in a single snap of their jaws, instead hover patiently, sometimes opening their mouths and spreading their gills to allow access to hard-to-reach places that would otherwise go untended. The cleaner gets a meal, and the client is freed of irritating hitchhickers that might otherwise cause disease or infection. This behavior is so widespread that cleaning stations become known landmarks on the reef, visited by fish of all sizes and species. Trust is survival, even beneath the waves. Some cleaner fish have established cleaning stations that predators visit peacefully. Cleaning stations are specific spots on a reef where cleaner fish set up shop, often near a prominent coral outcrop or a distinctive feature that visiting fish can recognize and remember across vast stretches of reef. Fish seeking relief from parasites learn to visit these locations, queuing up and waiting their turn while the cleaners work, sometimes hovering in line for several minutes as if at a barbershop or spa. Even large predators like groupers and moray eels, which would normally eat small fish without hesitation, observe a truce at these stations, allowing the cleaners to enter their mouths and swim among their teeth in a display of trust that seems almost absurd. The cleaning station is a sanctuary, a place where the usual rules of predator and prey are temporarily suspended. Hunger yields to the promise of relief. The relationship is so trusted that predators do not eat the cleaners even when hungry. The restraint shown by predators at cleaning stations is remarkable, a testament to the value both parties place on the relationship and the long evolutionary history that has shaped their behavior into something resembling an honor system. Studies have shown that if a cleaner fish bites too hard or takes more than it should, perhaps sneaking a taste of healthy mucus rather than just parasites, the client may leave and not return, damaging the cleaner's reputation and future prospects for finding food, a social punishment as real as any in human society. At the same time, clients that eat their cleaners quickly find themselves unwelcome at other stations, as cleaners can recognize and avoid fish that have proven untrustworthy in the past, spreading the word through behavior. This mutual accountability keeps the system honest, a delicate balance of trust and consequence that has evolved over millions of years. Even in the sea, reputation matters, and cheaters pay a price. Oxpeckers ride on the backs of large African mammals, eating ticks and parasites. Across the savannas of Africa, small birds called oxpeckers cling to the hides of buffalo, giraffes, rhinoceroses, zebras, and other large mammals, picking off ticks, flies, and other blood-sucking parasites that would otherwise torment their hosts. The mammals tolerate and even seem to welcome their feathered companions, standing still or adjusting their posture to give the birds access to hard-to-reach places like ears, nostrils, and the folds of skin where parasites love to hide. A single oxpecker can eat hundreds of ticks a day, providing a grooming service that would be completely impossible for the mammal to perform on its own, no matter how it twisted or rubbed against trees. The relationship is ancient and familiar, a partnership written into the daily rhythm of the African bush. The birds are trusted passengers, and the mammals are grateful hosts who carry them willingly. The birds also warn their hosts of approaching predators by hissing and flying away. Oxpeckers not only remove parasites, but also serve as lookouts, their sharp eyes scanning the horizon for danger while perched high on the backs of their hosts. If a lion or other predator approaches, the birds often give a warning call or take flight, alerting the mammal to the threat before it draws too near. Rhinoceroses, whose eyesight is notoriously poor, seem to benefit especially from this early warning system, relying on their avian companions to detect danger before it is too close. The bond between oxpecker and host is thus more than a simple exchange of food for grooming. It is a partnership of vigilance, each species contributing skills the other lacks. The bird sees what the rhinoceros cannot. Clownfish live among the stinging tentacles of sea anemones, immune to their venom. The sea anemone is a formidable creature, its tentacles armed with stinging cells that paralyze and kill small fish that stray too close to their venomous embrace, a living trap that few can survive. Yet the clownfish swims freely among these lethal fronds, protected by a mucus coating that prevents the anemone from recognizing it as prey or triggering its deadly defense, a chemical passport to safety. The clownfish gains a home that few predators dare approach, while the anemone benefits from the nutrients dropped by its guest and the protection it offers against anemone-eating fish that might otherwise attack it. This partnership has become an icon of coral reef life, a brightly colored symbol of mutual benefit amid the dangers of the underwater world. Danger becomes shelter for those who know the secret. The clownfish brings food to the anemone and chases away predators that would eat it. Beyond simply living rent-free, the clownfish actively contributes to the health and survival of its host in ways both large and small. It drops food scraps that fall within reach of the anemone's tentacles, providing easy meals that the stationary animal could not catch on its own. The clownfish also fans the anemone with its fins, increasing water circulation and helping to remove waste. More importantly, the clownfish aggressively defends its home against butterfly fish, and other species that feed on anemones, darting out to chase intruders away despite being far smaller than many of its adversaries. This fierce protectiveness is rewarded with continued shelter, a cycle of giving and receiving that strengthens both partners over time. The clownfish is not just a guest, it is a guardian, and its presence makes the anemone healthier and longer-lived. Hermit crabs place anemones on their shells for protection and camouflage. Hermit crabs are soft-bodied creatures that rely on borrowed shells for protection, but some have found that a shell alone is not enough to deter the many predators that would make a meal of them. These crabs seek out sea anemones and carefully attach them to their adopted homes, gaining the anemone's stinging defenses as an added layer of security, a living shield that waves its tentacles at anything that comes too close. The anemone, in turn, is carried to new feeding grounds and receives scraps of food from the crab's messy meals, a traveling restaurant that never closes. When you see a hermit crab trundling across the sea floor with a tuft of anemone riding atop its shell, you are witnessing a partnership built on shared survival. Each carries the other through life. When the crab moves to a larger shell, it carefully transfers its anemones to the new home. As a hermit crab grows, it must find ever larger shells to accommodate its expanding body, a process that can be stressful and dangerous. When the time comes to move, some species do not simply abandon their anemone partners, but carefully coax them off the old shell and attach them to the new one, using gentle touches and patient persistence. This process can take considerable time and effort, sometimes hours, the crab gently prizing the anemone free with its claws and guiding it into place on the new shell's surface. The result is a continuation of a relationship too valuable to leave behind, a partnership that has protected and fed both parties through countless shell changes. Even in the rush for a new home, old friends are not forgotten, and the bond between crab and anemone endures. Some shrimp live inside the bodies of sea cucumbers, protected from predators. Sea cucumbers are slow, soft-bodied creatures that spend their lives vacuuming up organic matter from the ocean floor, seemingly oblivious to the world around them and content in their simple routine. Yet inside their bodies, certain species of shrimp have found refuge, living within the cucumber's respiratory cavity or digestive tract in what appears to be a harmless arrangement that benefits one without troubling the other. The shrimp gains shelter from the many predators that would otherwise make short work of it, while the sea cucumber seems to suffer no ill effects from its hidden tenant. It is a strange sort of home, dark and enclosed, but for the shrimp, it is a sanctuary. Safety can be found in the oddest places. The insect world is filled with partnerships that have shaped entire ecosystems. Ants farm aphids like livestock, protecting them and harvesting their sugary secretions. Aphids are small, soft-bodied insects that feed on plant sap, and as they eat, they excrete a sweet, sticky substance called honeydew that glistens on leaves like drops of morning dew. Ants have learned to exploit this unexpected bounty, tending aphid herds much as humans tend cattle, protecting them from predators, and even moving them to better feeding sites when the current leaves grow dry or depleted. In return, the ants stroke the aphids with their antennae to stimulate the release of honeydew, which they drink on the spot or carry back to the nest in their crops, a liquid currency more valuable than gold in the ant economy. This is farming in miniature, a practice that predates human agriculture by tens of millions of years. The ants are shepherds, and the aphids are their willing flock. Some ant species have farmed aphids for millions of years. The partnership between ants and aphids is not a recent invention, but an ancient alliance, with fossil evidence and molecular studies suggesting that certain ant species have been tending aphids for at least 50 million years, long before humans walked the earth. Over this vast span of time, both partners have shaped each other's evolution, with some aphid species losing the ability to defend themselves and relying entirely on their ant protectors for safety from predators. The ants, in turn, have developed ever more sophisticated behaviors for managing their herds, including moving aphids to better feeding sites and even building shelters to protect them from rain and sun. What began as simple opportunism has become mutual obligation, a relationship so old and so deeply intertwined that neither partner can easily walk away. History binds them together in ways neither fully understands. Leafcutter ants cultivate fungus gardens using the leaves they harvest. In the rainforests of Central and South America, long columns of leafcutter ants carry fragments of leaves back to their nests in tireless processions that can strip entire trees bare overnight, but they do not eat the leaves themselves. Instead, they chew the plant material into a pulp and use it to feed a special fungus that grows nowhere else but inside their colonies, nurtured in chambers deep underground. The fungus digests the tough cellulose of the leaves, converting it into a soft, nutritious mass that the ants can eat. This is agriculture on a scale that rivals human farming, with some colonies tending to fungus gardens that cover several square meters. The ants are gardeners, and their crop has fed generations. These ants do not eat the leaves themselves, but feed them to their fungal crop. Leafcutter ants have evolved a digestive system that cannot process the tough cellulose found in leaves, so they rely entirely on their fungal partner to convert plant matter into a food they can eat. The fungus breaks down the cellulose and other complex compounds in the leaf pulp, transforming it into a soft, nutritious mass rich in proteins that the ants can absorb. In turn, the fungus depends on the ants for a steady supply of fresh substrate and rigorous protection from pests, competing molds and bacterial infections. This mutual dependence is total, neither could survive without the other, and their fates have been bound together for tens of millions of years. The ants are tireless farmers, weeding out competing organisms, adjusting humidity and temperature, and carefully maintaining the precise conditions the fungus needs to thrive. Their harvest is not the leaf, but what the fungus makes of it, and in this quiet exchange, both flourish. The fungus has been domesticated by leafcutter ants for over 50 million years. The fungus cultivated by leafcutter ants has been so thoroughly domesticated over tens of millions of years that it no longer produces spores capable of surviving outside the colony and cannot exist anywhere else in the natural world. It depends entirely on the ants to propagate it, passed carefully from one generation to the next when a new queen leaves to found a colony, carrying a small fragment of the fungal garden in a special pouch beneath her jaw like a precious inheritance. This is inheritance not just of genes, but of a living partnership that stretches back through millions of years to a time when the first ants began experimenting with cultivation in ancient forests long since vanished. The ants and their fungus have co-evolved to the point where neither can remember or return to what independence felt like. Their fates are one, bound together forever. Termites also farm fungi inside their mounds, creating climate-controlled gardens. In Africa and Asia, certain termite species have independently evolved their own form of fungus farming, cultivating specialized fungi inside their elaborate mounds in a parallel innovation to the leafcutter ants of the Americas. The termites collect plant debris, chew it into a pulp, and use it as a substrate for their fungal gardens, then consume both the fungus and the partially digested plant material it produces. To keep the fungus thriving, the termites maintain precise conditions of temperature and humidity within their mounds, adjusting ventilation and water sources as needed throughout the seasons. The result is a living factory, a partnership between insect and fungus that transforms inedible plant matter into nutritious food. Deep inside the mound, the garden never sleeps. Termite mounds can maintain temperatures within a few degrees regardless of external weather. The architecture of a termite mound is a marvel of biological engineering, designed to regulate the internal climate with remarkable precision that human engineers still struggle to replicate. Complex networks of tunnels and chambers allow air to circulate, carrying heat and moisture where they are needed and expelling them where they are not, like an intricate respiratory system. Even as temperatures outside swing wildly between day and night, the interior remains stable, creating ideal conditions for the fungus garden at the mound's heart. This climate control is achieved without any external power source, relying only on the geometry of the structure and the tireless labor of the colony. The builders have mastered an art we are only beginning to understand. Some beetles carry fungal spores in special pouches to inoculate new trees. Certain species of ambrosia beetles have evolved a partnership with fungi so close that they carry spores in specialized structures on their bodies, ready to plant in new hosts whenever the opportunity presents itself. When a beetle bores into a tree to lay its eggs, it deposits fungal spores in the tunnels it creates, and the fungus grows rapidly, fed by the wood that surrounds it. The beetle larvae then eat the fungus rather than the wood itself, benefiting from the nutrients the fungus has extracted from the tree. Without the beetle, the fungus could not colonize new trees. Without the fungus, the beetle could not feed its young. They travel together, partners in a journey of invasion and cultivation. Bees and flowering plants have co-evolved, each shaping the other's form and behavior. The relationship between bees and flowers is one of the most celebrated partnerships in nature, a mutual dependence that has driven the evolution of both for over 100 million years and filled meadows with color. Flowers have evolved bright colors, sweet scents, and nutritious nectar to attract bees, while bees have developed specialized mouthparts, pollen baskets, and behaviors perfectly suited to harvesting these rewards and transporting them efficiently. As bees move from flower to flower, they carry pollen with them, enabling the plants to reproduce and spread across the landscape. This coevolution has produced the astonishing diversity of flowering plants we see today, each bloom a product of negotiation between plant and pollinator. Beauty itself is a form of conversation. Certain flowers can only be pollinated by one specific species of bee or moth. Some plants have evolved such specialized flowers that only a single species of pollinator can access their nectar or transfer their pollen effectively. The shape of the flower may be perfectly matched to the tongue of a particular moth, or its petals may only open in response to the buzzing of a specific bee that visits at the right time. This extreme specialization can be risky, as the loss of the pollinator would doom the plant to extinction without hope of recovery, but it also ensures that pollen is carried directly to another flower of the same species rather than wasted on unrelated blooms. The partnership is exclusive, a bond written into the very shape of the flower. One key, one lock. Let your breathing soften for a moment. You do not need to follow these facts anywhere. They will find their own way through you, carried on a current as steady as the cycling of nutrients through a forest. Let your muscles loosen and allow yourself to drift a little further into rest. Figs and fig wasps have one of the most specialized relationships in nature. The fig is not a fruit in the ordinary sense, but an inside-out flower, a fleshy structure containing hundreds of tiny blooms hidden within its hollow interior, a secret garden enclosed in a soft green shell. To pollinate these hidden flowers, the fig depends entirely on tiny wasps, each species of fig partnered with its own unique species of wasp in a bond that has lasted millions of years, and cannot be broken without both partners perishing. The wasp enters the fig through a narrow opening, often losing its wings and antennae in the process, and pollinates the flowers as it searches for a place to lay its eggs among the blossoms it will never see bloom. The relationship is so intimate and so ancient that neither partner could reproduce without the other. Inside the fig, a world of mutual sacrifice unfolds. Each fig species has its own wasp species, and neither can reproduce without the other. There are over 700 species of fig, and almost everyone has its own exclusive pollinator. There are over 700 species of fig trees scattered across the tropical and subtropical regions of the world, and almost everyone has its own exclusive pollinator, a wasp that has co-evolved with it over millions of years in a partnership so tight that neither can survive without the other. The wasp depends on the fig for a safe place to lay its eggs where its larvae can develop in peace, and the fig depends on the wasp to carry pollen from one tree to another, ensuring that its seeds are fertilized and its lineage continues. If one partner disappears from a region, the other will soon follow, unable to reproduce without its ancient ally. This one-to-one matching is a remarkable example of how tightly two species can become bound together, their fates inseparable. The diversity of figs mirrors the diversity of wasps. Each pair locked in a partnership, neither can escape. The wasp pollinates the fig as it lays eggs inside, and then dies within the fruit. When a female fig wasp enters a fig, squeezing through an opening so narrow it often tears off her wings and antennae, she carries pollen collected from the fig where she was born. As she searches for suitable flowers in which to lay her eggs, she deposits this pollen, fertilizing the fig's seeds with every movement she makes within the dark interior. Once her eggs are laid, the wasp's task is complete, and she dies inside the fig, her body eventually broken down and absorbed by the ripening fruit until no trace remains. Her offspring will hatch, mate in the darkness, and the females will gather pollen before squeezing out through the tiny opening to find new figs of their own, continuing the cycle their mother began. The mother never sees the outside world again, but her sacrifice ensures the partnership continues for another generation. Life and death are woven into every fig. This partnership is over 60 million years old. Fossil evidence and molecular studies suggest that the relationship between figs and fig wasps stretches back at least 60 million years, making it one of the oldest and most stable mutualisms known to science, and a living fossil of cooperation. Throughout this vast span of time, the partners have remained faithful to each other, adapting together to changing climates and shifting continents without ever breaking the bond. The figs we eat today, the wasps that pollinate them, are the latest chapter in a story that began before the dinosaurs had fully disappeared from the earth. Such longevity is rare in nature, a testament to how valuable the partnership has been for both sides. Time has only strengthened the bond. Yucca plants and yucca moths depend entirely on each other for reproduction. In the deserts and scrublands of the Americas, yucca plants raise tall stalks of creamy white flowers, each one waiting for a very particular visitor that only comes at night when the air is still and cool. Only yucca moths can pollinate these blooms, and they do so with deliberate precision, gathering pollen into a ball and pressing it into the stigma of another flower after laying an egg inside the developing ovary. The moth's larvae feed on a portion of the developing seeds, but enough remain for the plant to reproduce and continue the cycle that has sustained them both. Neither species can complete its life cycle without the other, a mutual dependence that has shaped their evolution for millions of years. In the desert night, their fates intertwine. Some symbiotic relationships are far darker, where one partner controls the other's mind. Parasitic fungi can hijack the bodies and behaviors of insects. In the humid forests of the tropics, certain fungi have evolved a terrifying and remarkable strategy for spreading their spores. They infect insects, slowly take control of their nervous systems through a cocktail of chemical manipulation, and compel them to behave in ways that benefit the fungus rather than the host that unwittingly carries it. An ant may be driven to climb to an exposed position high above the forest floor. A fly may land in a spot where its spores will be carried far by the wind, its final resting place chosen by another. The insect has no choice in these final actions, its muscles and movements utterly commandeered by a silent invader that has hijacked the very signals in its brain. By the time the host dies, the fungus has already positioned it perfectly for maximum spore dispersal across the forest. Control is absolute, extending even unto death itself. Archaeocordyceps fungi turn ants into zombies, controlling their movements before killing them. The Archaeocordyceps fungus is perhaps the most famous of the mind-controlling parasites, infecting carpenter ants with spores that germinate inside their bodies and slowly take control of their behavior. As the fungus grows, it produces chemicals that alter the ant's behavior, compelling it to leave the safety of its nest and climb upward, abandoning everything it has ever known in obedience to an alien will. The ant moves erratically, its normal patterns disrupted, until it reaches a position the fungus favors, a leaf or twig at just the right height and humidity for spore dispersal, a stage set for death. There the ant clamps its jaws in a death grip and waits for the end as the fungus prepares its final act. The fungus consumes it from within, then sprouts a stalk from its head to release its spores. The ant's last act serves only the parasite. The infected ant climbs to a high point and clamps onto a leaf before the fungus erupts from its head. This death grip is remarkably precise, always occurring at a position that maximizes the fungus's chances of spreading its deadly spores to other ants below. The ant's mandibles bite down with such force that they can remain locked in place for months, long after the ant itself has died and the fungus has erupted from its head in a slender stalk. From this stalk, spores rain down on the forest floor, ready to infect the next passing ant and begin the cycle anew without end. The forest is littered with the remains of these zombified ants, each one a monument to a parasitism that leaves nothing to chance. Even the angle of the grip has been shaped by evolution. Different Archaeocordyceps species specialize in different ant species. There is no single zombie ant fungus, but a whole family of them, each finely tuned to infect and manipulate a particular species of ant in the humid forests where they both dwell. The chemicals that control one ant's behavior may have no effect on another, and the fungus that thrives in one ant's body may be unable to grow in a different host species. This specificity is the result of millions of years of coevolution, each fungus tracking the defenses of its preferred victim, while the ants evolve ever more sophisticated ways to detect and remove infected nestmates before the spores can spread. It is an arms race fought in silence, deep within the forest. Neither side ever truly wins. Some parasitic wasps lay eggs inside living caterpillars, which continue to live as hosts. Parasitoid wasps are among the most successful groups of insects on Earth, and many of them reproduce by injecting their eggs directly into the bodies of other insects, a method of reproduction that evolution has perfected over hundreds of millions of years. The caterpillar host continues to feed and grow, unaware that it is now incubating a clutch of wasp larvae within its tissues, living its final days in ignorance of the fate that awaits. The larvae feed on the caterpillar's body fluids and non-essential organs, carefully avoiding anything that would kill their host before they are ready to emerge and face the world. Only when the larvae have grown large enough do they eat their way out, leaving the caterpillar to die, or in some cases, stand guard over them until they pupate. The host is kept alive only as long as it is useful. The wasp larvae consume the caterpillar from the inside, avoiding vital organs until the end. This precision is not accidental, but the result of millions of years of natural selection, a refinement of parasitic strategy that borders on the surgical. Larvae that killed their host too soon would starve before they could complete their development, so evolution has favored those that feed carefully, leaving the heart, brain, and essential muscles intact until the very last moment when the host is no longer needed. The caterpillar continues to eat and move, apparently healthy from the outside, while its insides are slowly and methodically hollowed out by its hidden passengers. Only when the larvae have grown large enough to survive on their own do they finally consume the last of the host's resources and eat their way out through its skin. By the time the larvae are ready to emerge, the caterpillar is little more than a husk, its purpose served and its body exhausted. The cruelty is mechanical, without malice, awareness, or any feeling we would recognize. Toxoplasma gondii infects rodents and makes them attracted to cat urine, ensuring transmission. Toxoplasma gondii is a single-celled parasite that can infect almost any warm-blooded animal, but it can only reproduce sexually inside the gut of a cat, its one true home in all the world. To complete its life cycle, it must get from its intermediate host, often a mouse or rat, back into a cat, a journey that seems impossible without some form of help. Remarkably, the parasite does this by altering the rodent's brain, making it less fearful of cats and even attracted to the scent of cat urine, a fatal attraction. The infected rodent becomes more likely to be caught and eaten, delivering the parasite to its final destination inside the predator's body. Fear itself has been rewritten by a microscopic invader. The mouse walks toward its own doom. This parasite may also subtly influence human behavior, though the effects remain debated. It is estimated that a significant portion of the human population carries dormant toxoplasma cysts, usually acquired through contact with cat litter or undercooked meat containing the parasite. Most people show no symptoms and live their lives unaware of their silent passenger, but some studies have suggested links between infection and subtle changes in personality, reaction times, and even the risk of certain psychiatric conditions. The evidence is not conclusive, and many researchers urge caution in interpreting these findings, but the possibility that a parasite could influence human behavior, even slightly, raises unsettling questions about the boundaries of the self. We may not be as in control as we believe. The mind is a landscape others can inhabit. Barnacles can castrate crabs and take over their reproductive systems entirely. Among the strangest parasites in nature are the rhizosphallan barnacles, which infect crabs and transform them into unwitting servants of the parasite's reproductive goals through an extraordinary process of biological manipulation that borders on science fiction. The barnacle begins as a tiny larva that invades the crab's body and spreads root-like tendrils through its tissues, feeding on its blood, hijacking its hormones, and eventually castrating it completely so that it can never reproduce on its own. Once the host is sterile, the parasite produces a structure on the crab's underside where a normal crab would carry its own eggs, and the host begins to care for this as if it were its own brood. The crab's instincts have been hijacked, its body repurposed. The parasite has become the only parent the crab knows. The crab then cares for the parasite's eggs as if they were its own offspring. The behaviors the crab displays, grooming the parasite's egg sac, fanning it with water, defending it from predators, are the same behaviors a healthy female crab would show toward her own eggs, an eerie performance of instincts turned against themselves. Even male crabs, once infected, will develop these maternal behaviors, their bodies and minds reshaped by the parasite's influence in ways they cannot resist. When the parasite's eggs are ready to hatch, the crab helps release them into the water, unwittingly spreading the next generation of its tormentor across the sea. The crab has been turned into a tireless nursemaid for an organism that destroyed its ability to have offspring of its own. Parenthood has been stolen and replaced. Yet not all parasitic stories are entirely dark. Some lead to unexpected benefits. Hookworms, once common human parasites, may help regulate immune disorders. For most of human history, spanning hundreds of thousands of years, intestinal parasites like hookworms were simply a fact of life, infecting a large portion of the human population in nearly every society across the globe. While they undoubtedly caused harm, draining nutrients and weakening their hosts, some researchers now believe that our immune systems evolved to expect these parasites, and that their sudden absence in modern, sanitized environments may paradoxically contribute to immune dysfunction. Small clinical trials have even suggested that controlled hookworm infections can reduce symptoms in some patients with allergies, asthma, and inflammatory bowel disease, though the results are still preliminary and much work remains. It is a strange idea, almost unsettling, that a parasite might actually be missed by the body that once hosted it across countless generations. The relationship was never entirely one-sided. Some researchers believe mild parasitic infections trained our immune systems over millennia. The human immune system is extraordinarily complex, capable of distinguishing friend from foe among the trillions of microbes and molecules it encounters on a daily basis, a feat of biological computation that still humbles our most advanced technologies. For millions of years, it developed in the presence of a constant background of parasites, bacteria, and other organisms, and some scientists argue that this exposure was necessary for proper calibration and balanced development of its responses. Without these ancient partners to train against, the immune system may become overactive, attacking harmless substances or even the body's own tissues in confusion and misdirected aggression. This is the hygiene hypothesis, and while it remains controversial among experts, it offers a new way of thinking about the relationship between hosts and their uninvited guests. What we lost may matter more than we thought. The absence of parasites in modern life may contribute to rising rates of allergies and autoimmune disease. In wealthy, industrialized nations with modern sanitation, clean water, and effective medicine, rates of allergies, asthma, and autoimmune conditions like multiple sclerosis and type 1 diabetes have risen sharply over the past century, affecting millions who would likely have been healthy in earlier times. Some researchers have noted that this troubling increase mirrors the decline in parasitic infections and childhood exposure to diverse microbes, and they speculate that the two trends may be connected in ways we are only beginning to understand. The immune system, deprived of its usual opponents, and the calibration they provided over millions of years of evolution, may turn its weapons inward against the body's own tissues or react explosively to harmless triggers like pollen, dust mites, or pet dander. This is not to say that parasites are beneficial or that we should welcome them back into our bodies, but it suggests that their absence has consequences we are only beginning to understand. Health is a balance, and every removal tilts the scales in unexpected ways. Maggots were once used to clean wounds because they consume only dead tissue. Before antibiotics revolutionized medicine, surgeons and battlefield doctors noticed something curious. Wounds infested with certain fly larvae often healed better and faster than those kept scrupulously clean and bandaged by the standards of the day. The maggots, it turned out, were eating only dead and infected tissue with remarkable precision, leaving healthy flesh completely untouched while secreting antimicrobial substances that killed bacteria and actually promoted healing from within the wound. This practice, called maggot debridement therapy, fell out of favor with the rise of modern medicine and its arsenal of antibiotics, but it has experienced a quiet revival in recent years, particularly for chronic wounds and diabetic ulcers that resist other treatments. The larvae are now raised in sterile laboratory conditions and applied under carefully controlled circumstances, turning disgust into healing. Sometimes the oldest remedies are the ones that work best. Leeches are still used in modern medicine to restore blood flow after reattachment surgery. When a severed finger or ear is surgically reattached, the veins often take longer to heal than the arteries, leaving blood trapped in the reattached tissue with no way to return to the body and causing dangerous complications that can lead to failure of the entire procedure. Leeches offer a surprisingly elegant solution. Their bite opens a small wound, and their saliva contains powerful anticoagulants that keep the blood flowing for hours after the leech has finished feeding on the patient, preventing the dangerous buildup. This draining of congested blood can mean the difference between success and failure in delicate reattachment surgeries that would otherwise be impossible. Hospitals keep medicinal leeches on hand for just this purpose, a modern application of a practice that dates back thousands of years to ancient healers. Ancient wisdom has not lost its edge. In the ocean depths and remote forests, new symbiotic worlds continue to be discovered. Giant tube worms at hydrothermal vents have no mouths or digestive systems. In the crushing darkness of the deep ocean, where superheated water pours from volcanic vents and toxic chemicals fill the water, giant tube worms grow in clusters, their red plumes waving in the current. These creatures have no mouths, no stomachs, no intestines. They cannot eat in any ordinary sense that we would recognize. Instead, their bodies are filled with bacteria that use the chemicals spewing from the vents to produce food, a process called chemosynthesis. The worm provides shelter and the raw materials of hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide, while the bacteria provide all the nutrition the worm could ever need. In a world without sunlight, partnership has found another way. Life adapts to whatever is available. They survive entirely through bacteria inside their bodies that convert chemicals into energy. The bacteria living inside a tube worm's body oxidize hydrogen sulfide, a gas that is toxic to most life and would kill most creatures in moments, and use the energy released to synthesize sugars and other organic molecules through a process that mirrors photosynthesis, but without light. These nutrients feed both the bacteria and their host, sustaining life in an environment that would be lethal to almost any other large animal on our planet, a place of crushing pressure and eternal darkness. The worm's blood contains special hemoglobin that can bind both oxygen and hydrogen sulfide, delivering both to the bacteria packed inside its tissues with remarkable efficiency. This biochemical partnership allows life to flourish where none should exist, powered not by sunlight, but by the chemistry of the earth itself. The deep provides its own fuel. These bacteria use chemosynthesis instead of photosynthesis to produce food. Photosynthesis, the process that powers nearly all life on the surface of the earth, including every plant, alga, and the creatures that feed on them, depends on sunlight, which cannot reach the ocean floor miles below the waves where eternal darkness reigns. Chemosynthesis offers a remarkable alternative, using the energy stored in chemical bonds rather than in light, to build organic molecules from carbon dioxide and other simple compounds. At hydrothermal vents, where superheated water laden with minerals pours from cracks in the Earth's crust, certain bacteria have mastered this process, exploiting the chemical riches that bubble up from the planet's interior. The result is a parallel food web, entirely independent of the sun, supporting a diverse community of worms, crabs, shrimp, fish, and other organisms in a world of perpetual darkness and crushing pressure. The sun, we learn, is not the only source of life. Entire ecosystems at hydrothermal vents depend on symbiotic bacteria rather than sunlight. The discovery of hydrothermal vent ecosystems in the late 1970s transformed our understanding of where and how life can exist on our planet and beyond. Here, in the crushing pressure and total darkness of the deep ocean, communities of organisms thrive in densities rivaling tropical rainforests, all sustained by the chemical energy harnessed by symbiotic bacteria living within them. Tube worms, clams, mussels, and shrimp all host their own bacterial partners, each species adapted to extract energy from the vent's toxic brew of chemicals. These ecosystems are islands of abundance in a desert of cold, dark water, proof that life does not need the sun to flourish. Energy is everywhere for those who know how to use it. Some deep-sea fish carry bioluminescent bacteria that produce their glowing lures. In the depths of the ocean, where sunlight never reaches and eternal darkness reigns, many fish produce their own light through a process called bioluminescence, turning the blackness into a canvas of ghostly glows and flickering signals. Some generate this light with their own specialized cells, but others rely on symbiotic bacteria, which they house in organs specially evolved to contain and control them. Anglerfish, for example, dangle a glowing lure in front of their cavernous mouths, attracting curious prey into striking range before snapping them up with needle-like teeth. The bacteria are fed and protected inside their living lanterns, while the fish gains a hunting tool that would otherwise be impossible to produce on its own. This partnership turns the darkness into an advantage, a lantern held out in the abyss. Together, they bring light where none was ever meant to exist. Let this be another moment of stillness. You do not need to carry any of these facts with you. They are here simply to keep you company as you rest. Feel the warmth of wherever you are lying, and let your thoughts become as soft and distant as light fading into the deep ocean. The bobtail squid houses glowing bacteria in a special light organ to camouflage its silhouette. The Hawaiian bobtail squid is a small nocturnal hunter that faces a peculiar problem. As it swims through moonlit waters searching for prey, its shadow on the sea floor could betray it to predators lurking below, waiting for an easy meal. To eliminate this telltale shadow, the squid has evolved a remarkable solution. It houses bioluminescent bacteria in a special light organ on its underside, which produces a glow that matches the intensity of the moonlight filtering down from above, rendering the squid nearly invisible when viewed from below. The squid can adjust the brightness of this light, fine-tuning its camouflage to the conditions of the night, brighter when the moon is full and dimmer when clouds drift across the sky. The partnership erases its presence from the world below. When light is danger, the bacteria become invisibility. The bacteria produce light that matches the moonlight above, hiding the squid from predators below. The glow produced by the squid's bacterial partners is not random, but precisely calibrated to match the surrounding environment with extraordinary accuracy. Photoreceptors in the squid's skin detect the intensity and color of the ambient light, and the squid adjusts its light organ accordingly, dimming or brightening to maintain a perfect match throughout the night. This anti-shadow camouflage, called counterillumination, is used by many deep-sea creatures, but the bobtail squid's version is one of the most sophisticated, relying entirely on live bacteria rather than chemical reactions within its own cells. The squid and its bacteria work together in real time, responding to the shifting play of moonlight on the water. Predators below see only an uninterrupted field of silver. Each morning, the squid expels most of its bacteria and regrows them by nightfall. The bobtail squid is born without its bacterial partners and must acquire them anew from the surrounding seawater in its earliest days of life. Once colonized, the bacteria multiply rapidly in the squid's light organ, but the squid does not allow them to remain indefinitely or grow beyond control. Each morning, as the squid buries itself in the sand to sleep, it expels around 95% of its bacterial population, keeping only a small starter culture to seed the next generation. By nightfall, the bacteria have regrown to full strength, ready to provide another night of camouflage. This daily cycle keeps the partnership fresh and prevents the bacteria from overgrowing their welcome. The squid resets its lantern every dawn. Sloths carry entire ecosystems in their fur, including algae, moths, and beetles. The coarse, shaggy fur of a sloth is not just a coat, but a habitat, home to a miniature world of organisms that exist nowhere else on the planet and have evolved alongside their slow-moving hosts. Algae grow on the sloth's outer hairs, giving its coat a greenish tinge that provides valuable camouflage among the leaves, while moths, beetles, mites, and ticks move among the strands in their own tiny dramas. Some of these creatures depend entirely on the sloth for survival, spending their entire lives in its fur and breeding in its dung when it descends to the forest floor. The sloth itself moves so slowly and so rarely that it offers a stable, predictable environment for its passengers. Where most animals try to stay clean, the sloth has become a living forest. It wears its ecosystem on its back. The algae gives sloths a green tint that helps camouflage them among the trees. In the dappled light of the rainforest canopy, the greenish sheen of a sloth's coat blends into the leaves and branches, making the animal much harder for predators to spot among the foliage. The algae responsible for this color thrive in the humid conditions of the sloth's fur, absorbing moisture from the rain and mist that envelop the forest throughout the wet season. The sloth provides a stable substrate and, through its infrequent movements, protects the algae from desiccation in the dry periods between rainfall. In return, the algae offer camouflage, and some researchers suggest may even provide nutrients that the sloth absorbs through its skin. Green becomes armor, painted by something too small to see. The partnership hides them both. Moths living in sloth fur lay eggs in sloth dung, and their larvae fertilize the algae the sloth eats. Sloth moths spend their adult lives nestled in the fur of their host like stowaways on a very slow ship, but their reproductive cycle depends on a journey to the forest floor. When the sloth descends from the trees to defecate once a week or so, the moths leave its fur and lay their eggs in the dung on the ground below. The larvae feed on the dung, and as they break it down, release nitrogen that enriches the soil beneath the tree where it falls. Some researchers believe this nitrogen eventually makes its way back to the sloth through the algae on its fur, completing a cycle of mutual benefit. Waste becomes nourishment, and the slow rhythm of sloth life ties them all together. And across the living world, symbiosis continues to evolve into new and unexpected forms. Some birds follow army ants to catch insects flushed from hiding by the marching swarm. Army ants move across the forest floor in vast, roiling swarms, flushing insects, spiders, and other small creatures from the leaf litter as they go in a wave of organized chaos. A number of bird species have learned to follow these swarms through the undergrowth, waiting at the edges to catch the fleeing prey that the ants drive toward them. The birds do not attack the ants themselves, but but simply take advantage of the chaos the ants create, snapping up invertebrates that would otherwise remain hidden in the rotting leaves. This is not a mutualism. The ants gain nothing from the birds that follow them, but it is a relationship nonetheless, a one-sided partnership that has shaped the behavior of both species. The birds know that where the ants go, a feast follows. Honey-guide birds lead humans to beehives and wait for a share of the honeycomb. In parts of Africa, a remarkable partnership exists between humans and small birds called honey guides, one of the few examples of mutually beneficial cooperation between humans and wild animals. The bird, having located a wild beehive hidden in the forest, will seek out a human and attract their attention with a distinctive call. It then flutters from tree to tree, leading the hunter to the hive through the dense vegetation. Once the human has subdued the bees and harvested the honey guide moves in to claim its reward, the waxy comb and bee larvae left behind. Neither partner could access the hive's riches as easily alone. The bird cannot break into the hive, and the human lacks the bird's ability to find it. Cooperation has created a shared abundance. Humans have followed honey guides for tens of thousands of years. Honey guide birds lead humans to beehives, then eat the wax left behind. Archaeological and anthropological evidence suggests that the relationship between humans and honey guides is remarkably ancient, stretching back far into prehistory when our ancestors first learned to follow birds through African forests to hidden sources of honey. Cave paintings and oral traditions in honey hunting cultures across Africa testify to a partnership that predates recorded history by thousands of years, perhaps tens of thousands. The honey guide's behavior is innate, not learned from other birds, which suggests it evolved in response to early human honey hunters long before the first cities were built or the first crops were planted. In some regions, specific calls and whistles are still used to summon the birds, a language of cooperation passed down through countless generations. This is one of the few mutualisms between humans and a completely wild, free-living animal. It is a friendship older than civilization itself, and it endures. Wolves and ravens often hunt together, each benefiting from the other's abilities. In the boreal forests and tundras of the northern hemisphere, wolves and ravens are frequently seen together, a pairing that goes beyond simple coincidence and suggests something deeper that has intrigued naturalists and indigenous peoples for thousands of years. Ravens follow wolf packs, watching attentively for signs of a hunt, circling overhead and calling out, and sometimes even alert wolves to the presence of potential prey hiding nearby in thick brush or behind rocks. After a kill, the ravens feed on scraps the wolves leave behind, and some researchers believe the wolves tolerate this because the birds serve as scouts and even help locate carcasses buried by snow. It is a loose, informal partnership, lacking the intimacy of symbioses like coral and algae, but it is a partnership nonetheless, shaped by ages of hunting together. In the frozen north, two predators share the spoils. And so we return to ourselves, to the partnerships hidden within our own bodies. Your skin is home to billions of microbes that protect you from harmful invaders. The surface of your skin is not sterile, but teeming with bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that form a living barrier against the outside world. A bustling metropolis invisible to the naked eye, but essential to your health. These resident microbes compete with potential pathogens for space and resources, producing chemicals that inhibit the growth of harmful species and helping to educate your immune system about what is friend and what is foe so that it responds appropriately. When this microbial community is disrupted by antibiotics or excessive washing or harsh soaps that strip away the protective layers, the skin becomes more vulnerable to infection and inflammation. You depend on your invisible coat of defenders more than you realize, and they depend on you for a place to live. The boundary between you and the world is not a wall, but a community. Eyelash mites live on nearly every adult human, feeding on oils we produce. Right now, as you listen to these words, there are almost certainly tiny creatures living in the follicles of your eyelashes, feeding on the oils and dead skin cells your face produces throughout the day and night. These mites, called demodex, are so extraordinarily common that they are found on nearly every adult human being on the planet, yet most people live their entire lives completely unaware of their presence. The mites are harmless in most cases, a commensal partnership where one party benefits and the other notices nothing at all. They are with you from adolescence onward, invisible passengers on a face you think you know. You have never truly been alone, not even in the mirror. You are not a single organism, but a superorganism, a community of species working together. The boundaries of what you call your body are more porous than they seem, more like a bustling city than a walled fortress, with visitors and residents mingling at every gate. Trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microorganisms live on and within you, contributing to processes you could not survive without, outnumbering your own cells and carrying genetic information that dwarfs your human genome. They digest your food, protect your skin, shape your immune system, and may even influence your thoughts and feelings in ways that scientists are only beginning to understand. Together with the cells you inherited from your parents, these organisms form a superorganism, a community so integrated that it is impossible to say where you end and they begin. You are not one life, but many woven together into something neither could be alone. The self is a collaboration. With that, the hidden world of symbiotic life begins to grow quiet. We have wandered through the partnerships that shape every living thing, from the bacteria in your gut to the fungi woven beneath forest floors, from the algae inside coral to the mites that live among your eyelashes. We have seen how ancient bacteria became the powerhouses of your cells, how lichens survive in the harshest places, how trees share nutrients through underground networks, and how parasites can bend the wills of their hosts. Life, we have learned, is not a solitary journey. It is an endless web of alliances, each thread bound to another. If this journey has brought you a measure of peace tonight, consider subscribing or sharing this space with someone who might need rest. There are more quiet wonders waiting, more hidden worlds to explore, one peaceful night at a time. Right now, as you listen, the partnerships within your body continue their work. Bacteria are digesting your dinner, producing vitamins, sending signals to your brain. Mitochondria, those ancient visitors, are converting oxygen into energy with every breath you take. You are held together by a community of life older than any species you can name. If your eyes feel heavy, let them close. Let the tension leave your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. Breathe in slowly, and as you breathe out, imagine all the tiny lives within you settling into rest alongside you. Let your breath become as steady and rhythmic as the cycling of nutrients through a forest, as the gentle pulsing of light from a deep-sea creature, as the quiet exchange between root and fungus far below the soil. Tonight, as you sleep, symbiosis continues its quiet work across the planet. Bacteria are fixing nitrogen in the roots of clover. Fungi are threading through fallen leaves. Corals are exchanging sugars with their algae beneath warm tropical waters. Trees are sharing resources through networks you will never see. You are a small, warm presence within this vast web of life, peacefully resting among the partnerships. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. And may you carry with you the quiet knowledge that you have never been alone, that from the very first moment of life on Earth, nothing has ever truly lived without another. This has been Drowsy Discovery. Good night.